In the heart of El Paso, Texas, a story of resilience was born in 1984. This is the story of Jim Rodríguez. The son of Mexican immigrants, Jim grew up in a home where money was tight, but love, faith, and discipline were abundant. His mother worked in a laundry, his father as a mechanic, and together they built a life rich in values. From a young age, Jim was captivated by the soldiers he'd see in the 4th of July parades. To his young eyes, they were the embodiment of heroism, strong, proud, and united for a cause greater than themselves. He dreamt of one day being part of that world. While many of his friends chose to stay close to home after high school, Jim's heart yearned for adventure, for purpose, for a chance to see the world beyond his neighborhood. At just 18 years old, he made a life-altering decision. He enlisted in the United States Army. It was a path he chose in search of opportunity, a way to forge his own destiny and serve the country that had become his family's home. Little did he know, this path would test him in ways he could never have imagined, forging not just a soldier, but a hero of a different kind. After completing basic training at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, Jim was assigned to the prestigious Army Corps of Engineers. His unit had one of the most dangerous jobs in modern warfare, clearing roads and disarming improvised explosive devices, or IEDs, in active combat zones. In 2003, the call came. He was deployed to Iraq during the early intense years of the war. Initially, Jim was fueled by an immense sense of pride and energy. He truly believed he was part of something monumental, a mission to bring stability to a troubled land. But the romantic ideals of service quickly collided with the harsh reality of combat. The days were a relentless cycle of scorching heat, suffocating dust, and a tension so thick you could taste it. Every patrol was a gamble. Every step could be a trap, an IED hidden in the dirt, a sudden ambush from a rooftop, the heartbreaking loss of a brother in arms. He learned to exist in a state of hyper-awareness, to place his absolute trust in his team, and to live one day, one moment, at a time. The fear, however, was a constant, unwelcome companion. As he would later recall, you never knew if your next step would be your last. Then came the day that would change everything. It was 2004, on a mission near Baghdad. Jim's unit was tasked with securing a critical road used by humanitarian convoys. On paper, it was a routine operation, something they had done countless times before. As their vehicle moved down a seemingly clear stretch of highway, the world erupted. A massive IED, buried and unseen, detonated directly beneath them. The explosion was a deafening roar that stole the air from his lungs. Jim was knocked unconscious, if only for a few seconds. When he came to, chaos reigned. The vehicle was a twisted wreck, engulfed in flames. The air was thick with smoke and screams. And then, a searing, unbearable pain shot through his leg. He was evacuated immediately, a blur of motion and frantic voices. At the field hospital, the doctors delivered the devastating news. To save his life, they had to amputate his right leg below the knee. He was only 20 years old. His world, as he knew it, had been shattered in a single, violent instant. Back in the United States, Jim began the long, arduous journey of recovery at Walter Reed Army Medical Center. The physical challenge was immense. He had to learn to walk again, to trust a prosthetic leg to carry his weight, but the physical pain paled in comparison to the invisible battle raging within his mind. The war had followed him home. Nightmares hijacked his sleep, replaying the explosion over and over. Flashbacks ambushed him during the day. The faces of the friends he had lost were etched into his memory, a constant silent reminder of the cost of war. For a time, Jim retreated into himself. He built walls to keep the world out, avoiding crowds, dodging conversations, and feeling a profound sense of disconnection from a world that seemed to have moved on without him. He was a ghost in his own life, haunted by what he'd seen and what he'd lost. He felt utterly alone, isolated by an experience no one around him could possibly understand. The vibrant, determined young man who had enlisted with dreams of seeing the world was lost in a fog of trauma and despair. One day, a turning point arrived in the form of an older veteran at the hospital. This man, who had walked a similar path, invited Jim to participate in a race for amputees. Jim hesitated, his confidence shattered. The idea of running seemed impossible, a cruel joke. But something in the older vet's eyes, a look of understanding and encouragement, convinced him to agree. The first time he tried to run on his new prosthetic, he fell, and he fell again. And a third time, but on the fourth attempt, he found a rhythm, a balance, a flicker of his old determination. He pushed through the pain, through the awkwardness, and he made it to the finish line. As he crossed that line, breathless and exhausted, something broke free inside him. It was a feeling he had experienced in a very long time. It was the feeling of being alive. That single moment was a rebirth. It was the spark that reignited the fire within him. Jim started training, every single day. He poured his grief, his anger, and his fear into the punishing routine. With every step, he wasn't just rebuilding his physical strength, he was rebuilding his spirit, piece by piece. He was reclaiming his life from the darkness that had consumed it. His dedication paid off. In 2016, Jim earned a place on Team USA to compete in the Invictus Games. the international sporting event for wounded, injured, and sick service personnel. Standing on that global stage, surrounded by fellow warriors who had faced their own battles, he ran the 400 meters with all the heart and grit he could muster. He won the silver medal. But that medal was so much more than a piece of metal. It was a symbol of his victory over pain, over despair, over the fear that had held him captive. It was proof that he had not just survived, but had found a way to thrive. After the games, Jim discovered a new mission. He decided to dedicate his life to helping other veterans navigate the treacherous path he had walked. He founded a non-profit organization and gave it a name that perfectly captured his journey, Paso Firme, which means steady step. The organization provides a lifeline for veterans with both physical and mental disabilities, offering adaptive sports programs, group therapy sessions, and vital job training to help them find purpose after service. He now travels frequently, sharing his powerful story in schools and Latino communities. His message is one of unshakable hope. It doesn't matter how many times you fall, he tells them. What matters is that you keep moving even if it's on one leg. Service doesn't end when you take off the uniform. Sometimes, that's when your real mission begins. Today, Jim Rodríguez lives in Austin, Texas, with his wife Laura and their 2 children. He has built a life filled with love, laughter, and purpose. He still runs, he still helps, and he still fights. But now, his fight is for others, and he does it with a smile. He knows that his scars, both visible and invisible, don't define his ending. They are the symbols of his strength, a testament to the incredible power of the human spirit to overcome, to rebuild, and to find a new way to serve. Thank you so much for watching Jim's incredible story. If it moved you, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing for more inspiring content. We'll see you in the next one.